How do you teach a class on priming? Every single thing you do is priming. Everything. That's the class. Questions? I'm not kidding you. That's the class. Every move, every post, every word, every communication, every interaction. There is never anything outside of this rule. I mean, obviously, not every word, because there are filler words, but every expression. That's what hypnosis is at the bottom of it. Fundamentally, hypnosis is being an excellent predictor of the future. And that's why we have this like woo-woo, label. But that is what it is. And that's a real occupation. It's a real job. Priming. Everything. I'm being serious. There's nothing to leave out. Like there's nothing that's accepted from that rule, even down to taking payments, everything, like the whole process. Should we look at the papers together? So priming means preparing the subconscious, creating expectations, shaping what the client will notice and respond to after knowing what your job is. So that's really important, shaping their expectation of what they will respond to. I'm going to talk more about that as we go through today. So by the time you start your hypnosis, the subconscious is already in the process of transformation, right? You guys have heard Scott say this all the time, right? When they sit down, they're 80% therapized. What does 80% therapized actually mean? Like, is that true? Are the clients 80% done when they sit down in front of you? Not quite, not exactly, in my opinion. But what he means by that, and I won't interpret him, I'll just tell you what I mean by that, is the process of engaging with the subconscious is so much underway that the subconscious can be trusted to take over, right? So it's just in training the subconscious to do this job. It doesn't mean it knows the content yet necessarily, because that's what the session is. But it's saying, hey, this is going to be an assignment that you have to take on. 80% therapized means the client has already consented to that. Well, guess what? The subconscious is a retroactive mechanism. If you tell it, hey, here's the end goal, what does it do? It goes backwards and figures out how to get you that, right? So if you can rely on that happening, you don't have to work so hard. So this is very much about building confidence and trust in the subconscious as a theory, as a theoretical thing. So what we mean is when the person sits down, their subconscious is already in this momentum. And you can't stop that. That's a process that's already unfolding. That's why it's important to get paid right up front because it's a process that will take on its own speed very fast. And if you leave it for payments way into the future, it's not a very good strategy. Priming is a psychological preparation process. You introduce the idea of change before working with the person. So, what does this create? Expectation, excitement, joy. Joy is a big selling point, right? You get on a discovery call and a person feels happy for the first time in a while, or even just a glimmer of joy. Well, that's pretty attractive. That's what we're creating. It also creates a direction, mental direction, and a visual or whatever kinesthetic they are of the future, right? Because that's also part of priming in the discovery call is, well, tell me what it is that you're expecting to have happen. Well, just the process of them doing that is creating their future avatar. So again, they've already done some work there. You've already done some work with them. Another thing that's created, hey, Kelly, is emotional readiness, right? Because when they sign up, we don't know what their level of emotional stability is. Once they have been kind of snared by the subconscious momentum, their emotions get in line with that as well. So we're scaffolding readiness on many levels, right? The last one on the list is perhaps the most important, subconscious permission to transform during the session. Isn't it true that that's what most clients are lacking is permission to be happy, permission to be joyful, permission to love themselves, permission to quit, permission, permission, permission. You can see it that way for like everything. But where does the permission come from? It has to come from their subconscious being ready for that. So again, am I going to create that in the session? I don't really want to I don't really want to put it to that. I want that permission to be something that their mind has been considering and working on for a while. So that when they sit down, they're like, well, I've earned my permission giving moment, and here I am. So I'm going to take it. A lot of the time, my clients, I would say 50% of the time, say to me, oh, are you already doing hypnosis on the discovery call? Because I feel funny or I feel something. But I'm not. I haven't done any real hypnotic interview. I haven't really done any like ETM, inner child. I haven't done any actual healing. So why is it that they feel like, well, why is something already happening? It's because there's like a snatch in their subconscious that's like, oh, something is pulling me. And that forward momentum informs their mind backwards to do something. Right? I tell you guys all the time, hypnosis is like training a puppy. Throw a toy, oop, throw a toy, and the toy gets brought back to you. That's how the subconscious works through. You have to throw the toy, and then the subconscious is like, oh, I know how to fix that. Let me tell you. And then you just sit here and listen, and you help them stack those resources. So it's very important to do that throw in the discovery call because then the readiness and the permission giving is peaked. Maybe they don't do it because they don't actually come to you already having quit or already having, done whatever, but they're on the trajectory where when they first called you, they didn't even know how to get on the right plane, right? So it's like up-leveling of their readiness. Okay, Pate, any questions? Is it making sense so far? So page 2, apophenia and transderivational search. Okay, I talked about these in 103. Well, do you guys want to talk about it? What is apophenia? Kelly or Gilles, you were there. Hey, welcome back, Kelly. Are you feeling better?
Yes, yes. Thanks very much. I'm feeling much more like myself.
Welcome back.
Yeah, thanks. Good to be with you.
Yeah, you too.
Can I say
Um,
something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not used to two Kellys being in the same room, so can we
Oh
call me
yeah,
sweet or something?
I'm sorry, I didn't realize that.
Okay.
She was like, "What are you talking about?" Ah, that's so cute. I've never had that either. Okay, good.
Yeah, but if you just want to call me by my
I
last
will
name, that'll
call
be
it.
easier.
I'll say
Thank
Kelly
you.
S and Kelly G. So one of you is gonna have to take on an avatar or like a superhero name so that I can just call you that. Kelly G. What's apophenia?
well, apophenia is like this naturally occurring thing that our minds can do, right?
Right.
Um,
Exactly.
and sort of mapping meaning onto seemingly random information. And it knits it all together so that we go, oh, that's what that means.
Right. So it's a kind of patternicity. So it's a way that the mind attributes meaning where there is meaning and even where there is not meaning. But the mind is always seeking meaning. It's always going to fill things in. So we can depend on that because that's a natural function of the subconscious. What's transderivational search? Any questions on apophenia? I mean, I did a whole unit on it, but that's the long and short of it. Like, I'll give you an example of patternicity. Do you guys want to give an example? Kelly G, do you have an example from the class or from your head?
Yeah, I mean, I thought those Rorschach tests were a great example,
Right,
right? Like it's just this random blob of ink.
right.
then you put it in front of somebody and their mind through apophenia goes, oh, I see
Right.
a raccoon, or I see a thief, or I see a pine tree, whatever.
Right. Exactly. And those ones are the ones where you kind of find out what they think. But there's also the ones that are like, oh, the front of a car looks like a smiling face.
Mhm.
Well, why did, and people think that they're crazy, right? Like, oh, that's not actually a smiling face. But actually, your mind is programmed to find faces everywhere because that's how mother and child and, relate to each other. So your mind is programmed to find that face. And then you see it somewhere and you're like, that's weird. But it's really not weird because that's how your mind is programmed. So our mind is always looking for a pattern. Our mind is always filling in data. And that's what the subconscious is dependably going to be doing. So if we have priming happening and we know that apophenia is a thing, well, then by definition, something is going to occur just from the suggestion. What's transderivational search? This was also 103, right? It was in module 3, storytelling. You guys remember the lost horse story? Erickson's lost horse story. Were you guys there for that? Does everybody know the story? Jill, do you want to tell it? It's an easy one. You're muted, but it's a really important story to know as a hypnotist.
I think there was a lot of things happening for me that weekend, so I'm trying to go through my own memory
Me
here.
too.
So I'm going to take a shot. I think this story was at about um, if you have a horse that's lost, it's putting gentle, not pressure, but it's kind of giving him the reins to find back to where he needs to be. Um,
How did Erickson tell it? Do you remember?
yeah, I can't remember.
I mean, you're on the right track. Kelly G, do you remember? You have the right idea, Jill. The lost horse story, yeah. I can see you guys reaching for your mute buttons. You can just stay unmuted during this course. It's just a conversation. It's not just a conversation, it is a conversation.
Sorry about that. Yeah, essentially, so the way the story goes is Erickson encounters a lost horse on this grid road somewhere,
Yeah.
and um, understands that it's likely a horse from some nearby farmer or something like that. Hops on the back of the horse, but doesn't really tell it where to go. Just trusts that the horse is going to know where to go, and then the story ends with, sure enough, he on the back of this horse, he gets back to the right farmer's yard, and the farmer asks, well, how the heck did you know? Like, how did you know it was my horse? How did you know how to get back to my yard, etc.? And Erickson says, well, I just let the horse find its way. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And what, of course, that's Erickson's way of saying what?
That the mind knows where to go.
Right. That's what transderivational search is. The mind will look for the answer that it needs through a kind of oblique cut through all of your experience and all of your information. That's what's transderivational about it. And it will derive some output. That's why we don't have to give suggestions or tell people what the outcome is going to be specifically for them. In fact, that's what gives us the edge, right? Is we don't do that, and therefore their transderivational search is appropriate to them. Not just one transderivational search, but all of the ones that occur in the sessions. So apophenia and transderivational search is what explains the mechanism of priming. So the fact that the subconscious mind is scanning for patterns, solutions, meaning, predictions, visualization of the future, that's what allows resources to come out. So the bottom line is introducing that possibility at the outset allows the mind to organize itself. So priming is actually just a building block. Too hot, I'm turning my heat down. Priming is just a building block for allowing the mind to reorganize. It's an organizing principle. What happens when the client comes to us is they're disorganized. So we're helping them to organize. Priming is the first step of, well, what is this organization going to look like?